Hi, this is just a random rant on a topic that I wanted to talk about for some reason. It's gonna be a fucking good rant, motherfucker. Yeah, fucking swearing. Motherfucking shit, fuck. Damn. Shit. Alright, I'll stop that now. I want to talk about the topic of gaslighting, but first, we have to define our terms. What the hell is gaslighting? You stupid cuck. I should have done this before I started the video. Gaslighting. It's a form of manipulation that seeks to sow seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or in members of a targeted group, hoping to make them question their own memory, perception, and sanity. Using persistent denial, misdirection, contradiction, and lying, it attempts to destabilize the target and delegitimize the target's belief. And here it says, the term owes its origin to a 1938 play Gaslight and its 1944 film adaptation. The term has been used in clinical and research literature as well as in political commentary. And I'm reading from the world's greatest source, Wikipedia, so it's all accurate. I remember reading that in the Gaslight movie, and this is just me going from my fucked up memory, which could be completely wrong, that the Gaslight movie is about someone changing or adjusting the lights in a building to make someone believe that they are insane. Something like this. And I will check to see whether I was right about that and put a little note at the bottom saying I was right, I'm amazing, or I was wrong, I'm a disgusting, lying sack of shit. I want to talk about the subject because being a social justice feminist person, YouTuber online, I have come to feel that many of the responses I receive on many of my videos in the negative from like anti-feminists and anti-social justice people, or maybe just some people who don't disagree with me, I don't know who all of them are just gaslighting. I think there's no one particular way that gaslighting manifests itself, but I can speak to what seems to occur on my channel. What I perceive to be the most common style of gaslighting in my comments section is basically people telling me what I believe. They tell me what I think. They don't necessarily reflect on the stuff I actually said in the video. If they look at implications of things that I said, they always go a few steps ahead. So if I said, for example, I think certain areas of society could use some sort of affirmative action to help underprivileged areas, to help people in those specific places who struggle to find work. And if you look at the demographic makeup of those particular pockets of society, you can see that there is a need which needs to be met. They will see that argument and say, so you're for discrimination against white people. And I would say, no, I'm not talking about across the board an overall system because that would be discriminatory. I'm talking about places where there are need and trying to compensate for that because we can see a huge disparity or lack of equality, something holding back these people from even being able to get like basic roles that realistically they should be able to get. And then they'll say, so why do you want to discriminate against white people? You're not really listening to me. You know, I've added a few caveats to that. I'm not saying an overarching system. And then they'll say, you believe in equality of outcome. You don't believe in equality of opportunity. You're kind of extrapolating a little bit and you're telling me that I believe that. I don't necessarily agree that those are the implications of my views. Like, I guess we just have a different opinion there. And it will escalate until it gets to me being an authoritarian who wants to do mind control and put the white people in camps and call everybody a Nazi and punch everybody in the face. And I want Marxism in all the schools and I want everybody to do hail to the Soviet Union every morning and put their hand over their heart and say, I love Stalin. And it instantly gets incredibly far away from just the topic that I was discussing and the way that I was discussing it. We're not talking about the fact that I think certain areas in society are suffering from an inequality which needs to be addressed, which has really gotten so pronounced, I wouldn't be against someone stepping in and try to fix those areas. We're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about Bolshevism and people being sterilized and gay frogs. It gets out of control really quickly. And I think one of the simplest tests of seeing whether someone is arguing with you in good or bad faith is simply seeing whether they are telling you what you believe. If somebody tells you what you believe, right away, that is an indicator that they are in bad faith. They don't care what I think. They don't care about the nuance, the subtlety, or the implications of anything that I'm saying. They want to extrapolate from those in order to paint me as a bad person. And if I get in a discussion with them, they want to convince me that I believe all of these horrible things that I don't believe. And a lot of that is a slippery slope. I would like to do a quick demonstration of a conversation without gaslighting and a conversation with gaslighting. Hi, I'm a feminist. A feminist? Oh man, I hate feminism. Wow, why do you think that? Feminism is like a gynocratic system which wants to oppress men and force people to just have white guilt and suck up to minorities even when they don't have to. And they believe in forcing the same outcome on every single person. They don't believe in opportunity. Well, I really don't agree with that characterization. You know, to me, feminism is more about just a fight for equality. Obviously, there are some feminists who are problematic and, you know, they're not really nice. But I mean, I don't like all feminists. I don't like sex worker exclusionary radical feminists or trans exclusionary radical feminists. But I also think that some of the theory is very useful. And in that sense, I think it can be a useful thing to call yourself or believe. Well, that's really not my impression of feminism. My impression of feminism is just a really female supremacy system, and it wants me to feel miserable because I'm a white male. Like, oh, I'm a white male. Let me bow to your greatness, minority, people and women, even though you've got all of the same rights and everything. Why don't you go look at the Middle East? Huh? That's where people are really being oppressed. Well, I very strongly disagree with that, and I would be interested in your reasoning for that. I think it's because I've just seen a lot of people get yelled at on college campuses, and that makes me very uncomfortable, and I don't like loud noises, and that makes me often jump to things being really scary when stuff's loud. It's just something to do with me. But what's your reason for being a feminist? Like, what's that all about? Like, why? Yes, and then I shall explain. Yep, I'm okay with that. Sweet. Hi, I'm a feminist. A feminist? Why do you believe in authoritarian ideas? Why do you want to do racism against white people? And why are you prostituting yourself to this guilt narrative in which computer games and free thinking and everything's just going to be totally destroyed? How can you believe those kind of things? Well, no, I mean, I don't think it's right to oppress anybody. Yeah, but you admitted to being an authoritarian, and I think the sad thing is you don't even know that. You don't even know that you're an authoritarian. You don't even know what you're really like, and that is just really sad. You need to wake up, because it's people like you who are trying to get Marxism put in schools, just as a way of pleasing the gynocracy, and I can't believe you would support the idea that men should be sterilized. Because they feel so guilty about being men, they just have to have their penises chopped off. Oh, this is kind of escalating quite quickly. I mean, I haven't even said anything really about what I believe feminism is or anything. Why don't you care about male suicide? Because that is the kind of feminist way. You just think men killing themselves is fucking hilarious, don't you? Well, we can see through you. Everyone here can see the kind of person you are, the kind of things that you're doing. Obviously, I don't think that. That would be insane. Like, why would I say something like that? I can't believe you can't see that you are the actual Nazi here. No, but I don't think of it that, you're so indoctrinated with the feminism. The feminism is in your mind. That's really unfair. Oh, now you're raising your voice. Why are you getting so angry? You're gonna hit me? You're gonna punch me? Is that the way that you deal with disagreement? Just because I'm disagreeing with you, you communist? No, I raise my voice because you're being frustrating, not because... Do the loud feminist noises that you feminists always do, you cuck. Why the fuck am I talking to you? You seem like such a dickhead. It gets too much for you and you start running away. Fuck this. That's the feminist. Oh, escape from the marketplace of ideas then. I fucking wrecked that guy. Yeah. So we can see in the first conversation, the disagreement on the substance was basically exactly the same. The anti-feminist person said, feminism is an authoritarian mind control system trying to create the gynocracy and subjugate men and destroy society. But they didn't ascribe that position to the feminist person they were talking to. They just said, that is my position and that is my view. They may back it up with some points, evidence, I don't know, reasoned arguments, whatever they may have, and I can disagree with that person to a huge extent, but they've not attributed that view to the other person. Then tried to convince that person that that's what they think. To me, that is pure gaslighting. I'm trying to convince you that you have all these evil, malicious intentions and bad ideas in order to destroy society because you are a terrible person. That is just the definition of gaslighting. And then the feminist person can say, I don't agree with that characterization, I don't think of it that way, that's not my position, that's not the kind of feminism that I hold. I see some interesting aspects to do with the theory and the ideas, and I just don't really think about all that crazy slippery slope shit you brought up, but you do you. That's fine. You know, you can have your opinion. We'll have a different point of view. While that conversation may be frustrating because they're not really connecting with each other, there's no gaslighting. There's no trying to convince the other person that they're horrible. But in the second example, the person consistently says things like, why do you believe in a system that's authoritarian? You believe in Marxism. You think it's okay to discriminate. You are an authoritarian. You're a person who's okay with this. And I suppose with male suicide, you don't care, because there's a bunch of feminists who don't care about that. You call yourself a feminist, which means that you think male suicide is just funny, don't you? You think it's hilarious when men are killing themselves. That's the kind of person you are. And then the original person just said, I'm a feminist or whatever. They spent the entire conversation on the back foot, basically saying, I don't believe in that. I don't think that. What are you talking about? I never said that. Like, what are you saying? This is not my position. It's not my belief. And they can consistently go back to say, these are the implications of your views. And it's a sleazy, disgusting tactic. Because you could say anything could have negative implications or negative connotations and spend any discussion going on and on and on and on and on about the negative repercussions of the things that somebody thinks. That is something that you can do in any conversation with any topic. And to me, it's the sign of just a low character and a shitty person who cannot argue things on the substance or the merits, so they constantly go to putting a view on someone and forcing that person to try and change that position to something reasonable so that it looks like what they think, or constantly be defensive like, I'm not saying that. That's not my position. I don't fucking think that. Why do you keep saying I'm a Marxist or some shit? And once you can pick this up in conversations, especially many of the online feminist, anti-feminist discussions, it is so obvious to see. It is so easy to see when someone's gaslighting someone. If someone sends me like a novel wall of text in my comment section, and the first sentence is, you just think, or so you believe, or your position is, I just don't care about the rest of the comment. I'm like, I don't care that you wrote a novel. I just don't give a shit about what you think, because you're deigning to tell me what I think. If you just said, I disagree with the idea that blah blah blah, and it was something in my video, and then you said, because A, B, and C, I would be like, that's really interesting, thanks for giving me something to think about. I don't agree with you, but that's some food for thought. Instead, what you get is, so you believe this. Yeah, this is you. This is your whole thing. And at this point in my YouTube life, my feeling about those kinds of comments is, fuck off. Fuck you. You're a fuck. You didn't listen to what I said. You're not even like trying to think about it. I'm gonna make up some demon devil thing that you can rage against. You do you, but I don't have to fucking read your stupid comment. And I think gaslighting is probably the most effective way to win any debate about anything, because you can use it universally. All you have to do is anytime somebody else gives a point of view, you put a value on it. You say something like, so you believe that it's kind of okay to control people in that way. So in some sense, you think censorship is alright. Or you ask ridiculous questions like, so you think Marxism would be alright in schools then? Or you think maybe we should say a pledge to Stalin or something. And then you can do kind of like gaslighting loop, where you go back to previous statements that you twisted out of context and retwist them. Well, remember when you said you think, you know, people should learn about communism in school. So you do think there should be an element of Stalinism in the classroom, and they have to clean it up again. Like, no, I wasn't fucking saying that. I was saying they should teach history, and, you know, Soviet Russia in Stalinism as part of history. Oh, I see. So we can agree then that you kind of want Stalinism in school and just put a pin in that and move forward. And after an hour and a half of using this technique on somebody, the audience themselves will be kind of gaslit and come away thinking, wow, that person said so many radical things. That person was crazy. Like, that person loves violence for its own sake. That person, like, believes in discrimination, and they want mind control, and wow, what a psycho, and they want Marxism everywhere. Without ever noticing that the original person never said a single thing like that the whole time. The entire thing, all of that, was put forth by the gaslighter, who was spinning a negative value on this person's views throughout the entire conversation. And I think it's an incredibly effective tool. You just have to be a shitty enough person to do it. You have to be scummy enough to not care about anything anyone else is saying, that you just non-stop put a negative spin on shit that somebody says, or do a slippery slope, or do some sort of fallacy, that by the end of the conversation, everybody is sort of convinced that the person you're debating with said a bunch of insane shit, even if they didn't. Or even if they just said stuff that sounded kind of controversial, but they didn't get the opportunity to expand upon or explain or give their side about. You guided everybody into this particular interpretation of it that was extremely uncharitable and negative, didn't give them the opportunity to explain, and now the audience just thinks this person believes this insane shit, because part of gaslighting is also being extremely uncharitable. I think certain anti-feminists have perfected this technique. I've seen videos to me which had nothing whatsoever to do with a single fucking thing I was saying, but it was definitely appealing very strongly to the biases against my positions and ideas in the audience. And in that sense, some videos are just kind of like an echo chamber reacting to you. A bunch of people who think ideas like mine, or by people similar to me, or some of my ideas have a certain interpretation, they're gonna be extremely easily convinced by a video about me which strawmans the shit out of me and doesn't really listen to what I have to say, because it's confirmation bias. But that's the number one thing that I seem to notice, is people telling me what I believe. I also think other things can fall into gaslighting, like constant nitpicking, other fallacies. Like straw manning can fall into it. One strong thing is sometimes someone will make a video about me, about something that's not true, and then like a year later, I'll still be correcting them about this thing. It's sort of like this long-term project to drive you insane and think that you did something wrong, even though you've cleared that up like over a year ago. You have to keep correcting the same thing over and over. So also repetition is another strong gaslighting thing. I just think it would be nice, and I'm very naive, I suppose, if when we were having discussions and looking at arguments, we don't have to steel man. We don't have to make it the strongest thing it possibly has to be. We just have to be charitable and look at it fairly and say, I think they're probably trying to say this, or I think this is their position, and then go from there. And if that's not their position, try to clarify. We don't really need this whole thing where we just tell each other what we think. It gets very repetitive and annoying, and I think after all this time on YouTube, it's really out of control. And it's ridiculous. This is my video on gaslighting, and obviously you, the audience, have interpreted this in a fashion which means that you think it's okay to kill puppies. Disgusting. Why do you believe in killing puppies and eating their flesh? Because that's just the vibe I'm getting from you, audience, and I'm going to keep repeating that to you in the comment section over and over and over and over and over and over and over, until you think maybe at some point you did say you want to eat puppies, and at the very least everyone else will think that at some point you said you want to eat puppies. So I look forward to that conversation.